mark X where the 2 point position to mark the position. Then we go to the table again and look for another next value of figure, which is 2 for S and 3 for Y. Then we go to the graph and look for, since we got S to be 2, we go to the right hand side of the graph and trace S upwards, and also go to the graph and look for 3 and trace it rightwards. Where the 2 meet is the position of the location at that point. We now mark a series. Then you go again to the table and look for the next figure there, which is 3. Then we now trace it upwards and go to the graph and go to the y-axis, which is 9. We now trace it rightwards. Where the 2 meet, we now mark a series. This will be the location of that point. The next figure there is 4 on the table for X and 19 for Y. We go to the graph and for the point X, which is 4, we trace it upwards on the y-axis, which is 19. Where the 2 meet, we now mark a series. We now use a French curve or a broom to join these points together to have a curve of this graph. Then with this graph, we will be now using it to answer the questions that follows. From the graph, we are told to find the equation of the line of symmetry of the curve. Then we now go to the graph, where and on the graph we now it's not on our discretion, but when looking at the graph, there is a line that divides the graph into 2 equal parts, which is the symmetry. That means dividing the graph into 2 equal parts. Therefore, if you go to the graph and trace this line, it is equals to 1. Therefore, our answer to question 1, which is the equation of the line of symmetry of the curve, is equals to 1. We are told to find the gradient of the curve at x equals to 3. Then at s equal to 3 on our graph, you will mark a tangent touching from the point where s is equals to 3. Then from there, we now have a right angle triangle ABC. Then from the triangle, we now get our slope or gradient, which is BC over AC, which is equals to our BC on the graph is 16, or if you trace it on the x-axis, and our if our BC is for y-axis, while our AC is on the horizontal axis. Therefore, our BC on the vertical axis of the graph is 16.9. That is our y-axis. While AC on the horizontal part of the graph, which is x-axis, is 2.2. Then if you do our mathematics, we'll be having 7.68. Therefore, the slope or gradient of the curve is 7.7 approximately. They are asked to find the value of s for which 2s squared minus 4s minus 3 is equals to 0. Then on the graph, at the point where the graph is 0, we are asked to find the value of s. At that point, we now, if you solve for s, if you solve for s and make our y to be 0, since we are asked to find the value of x. So what we have is from the graph, y equals to 2 squared minus 4s plus 3. We then have to find out the root of of the equation. Therefore, the root where the graph touches the y-axis is 6. Therefore, we now add 6 to both sides of the equation. If we now add our 6 to both sides of the equation, we now have 2x squared minus 4x minus 3 plus 6 is equal to 0 plus 6. Therefore, the root of the equation will now become 2x squared minus 4x plus 3 is equal to c. The x value of the point of intersection of y equals to 6, and the graph of 2x squared minus 4x plus 3 are the values required. Answer 4. Asked to find the range of values of x for which 2x squared minus 4x plus 1 is less than 0. Then you go to the graph and then find y equals to 0. At that point, we find the range. Then now you now add 2 to both sides of the equation. You now have 2x squared minus 4x plus 1 plus 2 is less than 0 plus 1. Then after doing my mathematics, we now have 2x squared minus 4s plus 3 is less than 2. The point of intersection of y equals to 2x squared minus 4x plus 1 and y equals to 2 are 0.25 and 1.7. That is, if you go to the graph, at the point where this y is equals to 2, you now trace it down to x. We now be having, from the 2 points where the line meet, we now have 0.25 and then 1.7. Therefore, the range is equal to 0.25 less than s less than 1.7. Question 3. Copy and complete the table below and use it to draw the graph of y equals to 3x over x squared plus 1. Use scale of 2 cm to 1 unit along the x-axis and 2 cm to half unit along the y-axis. Then for the table, we have x, we have 3 minus 3 minus 5 over 2 minus y minus 1 minus 1 over 2, 0, 1 over 2, 0, 1, 3 over 2, 2, 5 over 2, 3. Y have minus 0.9, minus 1.2, minus 1.5 under minus 1, 0 under 0, minus 1.2 under 1 over 2, minus 1 over 1.38 under 3 over 2, 1.03 under 5 over 2.